All right. This is your Stats Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and this is scenario 8 of the take-home quiz. It's 2013 question 5. Psychologists interested in the relationship between meditation and health conducted a study with a random sample of 28 men who lived in a large retirement community. That's important that they tell us it's large. So I have a sample of 28. Of the men in the sample, 11 reported they participated in meditation, and 17 reported they do not participate in daily meditation. The researchers wanted to perform a hypothesis test of participates in meditation, and PC is those who don't participate in meditation. Where PM is the proportion of people with high blood pressure among all the men in the retirement center who participate in meditation, and PC is the proportion of men with high blood pressure among all men in the retirement center who do not participate in meditation. If the study were to provide a significant evidence, HO, in favor of HA, so in other words, if the test were significant, would it be reasonable for the psychologist to conclude that the daily meditation causes a reduction in blood pressure for men in the retirement center? Explain why or why not. All right. It would not be appropriate to conclude that the meditation causes a reduction of blood pressure for men in the retirement center. The treatments were not assigned, so this is an observational study and no cause and effect relationship be drawn. My question to you is why? I might even should say why. Well, there could be confounding factors. Those that participate in meditation are normally more relaxed or something along those lines, and those that don't might be more stressed out by other things. Or you could be saying, hey, they already have high blood pressure, and that's why they participate in medications. There could be all sorts of confounding factors. So the reason why treatments have to be assigned is to randomly assigned, and it should say we're not randomly. It should say randomly assigned, is because there could be other confounding factors that could impact it. All right, continuing on. The psychologists found that of the 11 men in the study who participate in daily meditation, 0 had high blood pressure. Of the 17 men who do not participate in the daily meditation, 8 had high blood pressure. We have 0 over 17, and we have 0 over 11 and 8 over 17. All right. Let P hat M represents the proportion of men with high blood pressure in this random sample of 11 who meditate, and let PC represent the proportion of men with high blood pressure among those in the 17 who do not meditate. Why is it not reasonable to use a normal approximation for the sampling distribution of that? So that means we need to talk about conditions. Well, what did they do? Well, they took a random sample. That's good. So random sample, that was taken care of. They need to be in less than 10%. In this case, we have a sample size of 28, and they tell us it's a large community. So we're going to assume that there's at least 280 people. So now we need to worry about the normality condition, which is probably random assignment or random sample is what is important. But then the other thing is the most important one is normality. So NP and NQ have to be larger than 10. Well, to do that, I'm going to have to use P hat C. Well, they already use P hat C, so I'm using P hat P or P pooled. And so, and I don't know where those values came from. That's not good. Well, I have to pause this for a moment. Well, sorry about that, but obviously when I cut and paste, sometimes I make some mistakes. So I don't know where those values come from. We had 0 out of 11. The 11 is the ones who meditate, 0 with high blood pressure. We had 8 out of 17, those that did not meditate. So that gives us 8 over 28, which is about 0.2857. All right. So I need to be able to take my sample size of 11 times 0.2857. and then 11 times 1 minus 0.2857. If I multiply that times 11, I end up getting 3.14. So this is going to be 7.857. That's less than 10. That's less than 10. So not big enough. When I go to the other one, I have 17. So I have 17 times 0.2857 and 17 times 1 minus 0.2857. And that equals 4.856. That's less than 10. That's greater than 10. All right, so the condition, and by the way, this part in yellow is all wrong. My apologies. So the condition to use the normal approximation is not met because not all 4 were greater than 10. Matter of fact, 3 were less than 10. And we needed all 4 to be greater than 10. So, all right, so that's why we couldn't do it. All right, moving on. Although a normal approximation cannot be used, it's possible to simulate the distribution of PM minus PSAT, P hat C under the assumption that the null hypothesis is true. So basically they say, oh, we're going to assume that this is true. And with 10,000 values were simulated. Okay. Based on the results of the simulation, what can be concluded about the relationship between blood pressure and meditation among men in the retirement center? All right, so we have this issue here. Is it? Well, here's what we did. We calculated P hat M, which was 0. P hat C, these are the ones that meditated. Probability that they meditated based on our sample is 0. 0 of them had high blood pressure, whereas over here, 8 out of 17 had high blood pressure. So that's 0.47. So 0 minus 0.47 is negative 0.47. So that's our difference. So I'm going to come over to the simulation and I'm going to look for negative 0.47. Well, that happened how many times? 76 out of 10,000, which is 0.0076. So that gives us a p-value of 0.0076. So there is less than 1% chance of getting a test statistic this extreme or more extreme in favor of those who meditate giving low blood pressure than those that don't, given that there is no difference. So we would reject the claim of no difference. There is sufficient evidence at alpha equal 0.05 to suggest that there is a relationship between meditation and blood pressure based on the simulation of our sample. All right, so based on the simulation of our sample. So based on the simulation of the sample, we could sit there and extrapolate and say, you know what? Very, very small chance of that happening. Okay. All right, thank you for watching. This is the conclusion of the review quiz.